Richard Florida wrote, "Cities are our greatest invention, not because of the scale of their infrastructure or their placement along key trade routes, but because they enable human beings to combine and recombine their talents and their ideas in new ways. With their breadth of skills, dense social networks, and physical spaces for interactions, great cities and metro areas push people together and increase the kinetic energy between them." Those are cities. They are communities. But that definition of cities, we believe at the Intelligent Community Forum, can now apply to every place. And I'm here to declare tonight to the representatives of Stark County that whoever called this place the middle of nowhere should be reminded that the middle of nowhere is no more. I was pleased, and I have to acknowledge this because many of you have not been keeping up perhaps with our work. In December, we received a tremendous honor when I got a call and was invited to the Nobel Peace Prize in December to speak on how intelligent communities could enable more free and open societies. And as I said today at lunch, you never know when you have an idea about how to make your own hometown better, what it might lead to, but ideas are powerful. And in December, I was privileged enough to have spoken there, and I take the entire Walsh community, my colleagues on the board of directors, the 119 intelligent communities, our visionaries, I take them along with me when I went to Oslo, and you were all represented there. So again, thank you for doing the work that allowed me to get a free trip to Norway. It was cold, by the way. With regard to what we do at the Intelligent Community Forum, I'll be very brief about why we did this. It was personal. I grew up in a small town in upstate New York that had great industry, that had made belts and had their Hoover companies and so forth. And it was a wonderful place to grow up. But within one generation, as happened all across the globe, it fell apart. No one was thinking about the next generation of the economy, how it would evolve, how it might evolve. And so I left, and I found out that around the world, millions of others were fleeing small communities, rushing into cities. And we were looking, and we continue to look, at an unsustainable disaster because people have left their homes, are living in places that will not sustain them, and we cannot build a human community if we don't get this right. And so what I did was what anybody would do. I started asking questions. I started asking really intelligent people what we could do about this. And I would get similar answers from all of the people that I respected, including the founders of BlackBerry and people who wrote about this subject. And they all said the same thing. They said, you've got to marry technology because technology in its own sake, for its own sake, is really not that cool. But it is the new railroad. So this broadband stuff, while it may not interest people, it's the new railroad. It's how we're going to get goods and services to global markets. So you gotta get that piece right, okay? So that was one thing. And then they said, you've got to layer on top of whatever you do, knowledge, education, information, creativity, because that's going to be the kind of stuff that allows new industries, forget new jobs, new industries to evolve. And every person said that in some way, shape, or form. They all alluded to it. And they said you have to allow your community, if it's going to be vital, to participate in the global economy. And so from that, we actually developed the Intelligent Community Forum. That's the idea. We go around the world, and we study communities that are really doing it well, like Dana's, like others that have low unemployment rates, that are creating new industries and jobs, that have hooked up their universities to their local governments and to their private sectors, and are creating, leapfrogging ahead and creating new businesses. And one of them in particular, one of the people we asked at that time was a guy who was the mayor of Taipei. His gentleman's last name was Ma. And I liked him because I'm Italian. I call my mother Ma, and she knows everything. I figured he did too. But he was a good friend of ours, and we asked him this, and we started talking about our ideas. And this was a long, long time ago. This was in 1999. And Mr. Ma absolutely understood it. And he said, yeah, that's what we're trying to do in Taiwan. We've only got 23 million people, and we're looking across the channel at a giant of 1.3 billion that's beginning to evolve economically. We're a democracy. And we've got some really smart people. We don't have any oil. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to build an economy. I'm going to build a nation around intelligent ideas. And Mr. Ma did that. Of his 12-point national plan, the fifth point was to make an intelligent Taiwan, to transform the entire island into one big intelligent community. A word to the wise, to our political friends, the mayor of Taipei, Mr. Ma, is in his second term as president of the country. And his ideas have worked. Well, they worked so well that many of his communities are transforming themselves into intelligent communities. One in particular had the nickname of the Mechanical Kingdom. That was a city called Taichung, which not too many people have heard of, although there are some people in the room who have been there. 2.7 million people. They embrace these ideas about how to make home a better place for the people who live there. And what they have done is just simply remarkable. The Mechanical Kingdom has hooked up its 23 knowledge factories, its 23 universities in a community of 2.7 people, to its industrial sector, which includes Taiwan Semiconductor, Highwind, and a range of other companies, and the local government under the leadership of a gentleman named Mayor Hu, who was the former foreign minister who lost an election in 2000, best thing that ever happened to Taichung because he went and ran for mayor and got elected. And today, they have a 4.4 unemployment rate, but forget about that. That's the easy stuff. They are number 3 in precision manufacturing exports, all knowledge-based. Taiwan Semiconductor is building a new $5 billion chip factory in that city. They have committed themselves to green initiatives and have reclaimed parts of the land in the city because their next venture is to mine like coal, extract like oil, the brains and the minds of their citizens. They believe, as Chef John Foles likes to say, that culture is the cuisine of a people. And here's the thing they know, and that many intelligent communities know, that knowledge and culture are natural resources. And we've spent, 250 years in the industrial age extracting things from the land, putting them to work in our economy. But there have been consequences. The new natural resource, if these communities continue to mine it right, and they've begun to do this, will yield endless wealth for us, and it will not pollute the sky, it will not soil the land, and it will not make people destitute. That's where the real intelligent community movement seems to be headed. And I think that's what the Nobel Peace Prize people picked up on as well, because it has peaceful implications. The day after Taichung was named Intelligent Community of the Year, China called the city and arranged a conference on telecommunications, a cross-strait conference where 2 former enemies sat down under the context of intelligence and intelligent communities and talked about what could happen next. These are the things we like to see, and this is what the Walsh Institute is now a part of and is now plugged into. I'm very fortunate tonight, though, that my friends from Taichung have actually come here to talk a little bit about their city. And for those of you who have not been to Taichung, what we have here is a 4-minute video, and we're going to show you a little bit about the city. And then Richard and Jackie will hand you business class airline tickets, round trip. Thursday morning, we'll all fly there. So, the video. Well, it gives you a little flavor of what's going on there. And that'll be on MTV shortly as well. In New York, when Tai Chung accepted its award for the Intelligent Community of the Year, it was accepted very graciously by Madam Ching Chi Lau. She is the Deputy Secretary General for the city of Taichung, and of course that's not a title we have in American politics, but as you can imagine, it's a pretty impressive title, and hoping she gives it to me at the end of the night. In any event, I would like to welcome her here up to the stage and talk to her for about 10 minutes so that you can maybe get a sense of why Taichung represents the best of the intelligent community movement in 2013. Madam Lau. To sit here. This is my good side. Okay. 你好.
你好. Good evening, everyone. Here in this room is my honor to be on behalf of our mayor, Dr. Jason Hu, to join you this evening. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, and we are really appreciative that you came here. Let's get right to it. We're at a university. We've been talking a lot about education. Give us a little background on the educational system and how it works in Taichung to help businesses go forward. I know I mentioned there, you have 23 universities and schools. There's an alliance now with all of the businesses that is creating the Taichung Software Corridor, but there's this real collaboration between those two and the government to create these new industries and businesses. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Well, I think for the all the factories and industry it will be important for them to able to recruit the good people to work for them. And because when Dr. Jason Hu be the mayor of the city, he realized we have so many universities. And so every year we have a lot of children, young people graduate from university. So if we don't give them the job opportunities, they would leave the city. So to be the mayor, I think it's very important for him to find the more business, want to do business in Taichung, can give children the job opportunity. So I think this is why he tried very hard to attract different business come here to invest in our city. So he tried to give like a window service to let the industry think we are very friendly. And the city government support the business to expand their business. So I think this kind of trust is very important for all those investors, so they can, and they really have the good service.
Yeah, you do. And you are friendly. I remember, the night I was there, they ordered a special sake for me. Yeah. And I said I couldn't drink very much because I was traveling, and you kindly drank it for me.
Oh.
So that was...
Well, only one cup.
Yeah, only one
cup.
Don't
give the people wrong impression.
No. The translation is one case. She was mistaken. But I do want to talk about that trust, because there is social trust there. There's no question about it. Taiwan is a democracy, and it is a cultural and religious democracy. You talk a lot about religious tolerance. Those things have all gone into building trust within the community. Help me out, though, with regard to how this collaboration can take place between the public sector, the companies like Taiwan Semiconductor, Highwind, all of your precision manufacturing companies, and the universities, and then what the government does to enable all of that. How does that work? I mean,
well, I think the government just playing a role just like matchmakers, and try to make both sides get married. But wedding is not the goal. I mean, how to be a happy marriage life, and which is the goal. So I think we be the local government. We will be able to cooperate with the local university. So since mayor who took the position, and so every 3 months, we have a meeting with those universities. And the mayor himself sit down in the conference room and taking all the suggestions and complaints from all the presidents and the principals. So I think this kind of trust will give this university, they will be more motivated, to want to have a good relationship with our government. And through us, we find them the business. And so they, I think they just have this kind of trust relationship together.
So the mayor opens up his door and he listens, and I know, of course, he works very hard with the others to identify future markets. That's important too, because you know semiconductors have become somewhat of a commodity, and yet Taiwan Semiconductor is building the $5 billion, I said, new fabrication plant. So they also sit down and they talk about future markets, and then once you've identified those, you connect your academic system to it. So you have everybody moving toward the decision you've made. How does that decision happen? Is it just the committees do it, or does the government decide?
Well, Taiwan is a democratic society, so you cannot make decision by yourself. So you have to listen to the community. And we have lots of community organizations. So they will give us the ideas, and also the city councils. I bet lots of people here, you don't know how many city councils we have. We have 63.
63 city councils.
Yeah, all represent a different district. So it's, I think it's a kind of pressure for the government.
Yeah.
And if we can have their agreement, it means most of the people will agree our decision. So I guess that is the decision-making process.
3 people from Canton City Council just passed out when they heard that. That's a lot, 63. But I know, and same thing in Mitaka, Japan, Mrs. Kiyohara had 89 councils to determine what their R&D would be.
Oh, so it means our Asia country are full of people. So we will have more city council members than you do.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. The other unique thing about Taiwan, and Taichung in particular, is that 2.7 million people, but about half of them are in agricultural or rural districts. Yeah. So Mayor Hu, in your office, has responsibility not just for the urban part of the city, but for all of the suburban and the rural areas. How have you been able to apply the concepts, the ideas of the intelligent community to also bring the rural people into the discussion and to keep them prosperous? Because they are. I've met so many great companies up in the hills.
Yeah, I think Jason, who is a very good salesman,
He is good.
when he is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, he is very good to let other countries to recognize Taiwan, this tiny island. And when he is the mayor, he is very good to attract big enterprise. And when we merge, well, it's not a long time ago, just 3 years ago, we merged urban and suburban area together. And we merged together, we started to do the research about our agriculture. And then we would surprisingly find out we have a very good product. And so, because he's such a good salesman, so he helped all those farmers sell their products to mainland China, even to New York, and to different countries. So just give them very, very good pay. So all those farmers just trust him. And so we use this internet technology to help them. So they can, through this internet, they can monitor their product at home. So save their human resources expense.
Right.
So they can be more even, make more profit for themselves. So,
But and the way they make more profit is because they can grow specialty products
yeah.
that the Asian and American markets need, like your peaches,
Yeah.
right? And so they brand them made in Taichung, and what's happened is that now that represents something. That's kind of like a Mouton Cadeau, Rothschild wine.
Yeah.
So if you're buying a fruit from Taiwan, you can be sure that it's safe,
Yeah.
tasty, and
Yeah.
is grown,
Yeah.
with the best processes. So that has added more value
Yeah.
and has kept the farmers profitable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can see he's also a very best salesman. Well, he speaks even better than I do.
But no, well, you know that I'm very fond of Taichung
Yeah.
because I think it's a great model for any community
Yeah.
that has either a rural or
Yeah.
urban center. One company I really liked, I have to tell this story, is the green biotechnology, the orchids company.
Yeah.
And
Very
do you want
successful.
to? Yeah, I mean, do you want to tell that story? Or?
Yeah. This orchid plant company, they just, how to say, they use this communication technology not only to help them to speed the process of the orchid growing, but also give them the very good marketing opportunity so they can sell their product to different countries. So
Yeah.
it's such a such a successful model.
What they've done, it's run by a father, an elderly gentleman,
Yeah.
and then his son and wife. They've actually done R&D with the universities on orchid plants and preventing disease. So they've got intellectual property that they sell around the world that allows horticulturists and the commercial side to sell this technique so that their orchids don't die. And then on the other hand, they can grow any color orchid you want. So in Brazil, they like those weird lavender, orange, yellow orchids,
Yeah,
right?
designed by the customers.
Designed by the customer. So you got designer orchids. And they're selling them, and this company is growing in leaps and bounds. But what's interesting is the passion that they put into it,
Yeah.
and they just love what they do, and they're modern.
Yeah.
And it's a very sophisticated company and workforce, and to
Yeah.
me, it's a great example of how technology and the intelligent community idea can be applied anywhere.
Yeah, and recently they are having the business in Latin America, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
In Brazil, yeah. Well, listen, our time's up. I wanted to thank Madam Lau for coming all this way to tell her story. She's around if you want to ask her questions, but xie xie.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Am I staying up here? Okay, at one point last year, Taichung was one of 400 communities that aspired to become Intelligent Community of the Year. As you can imagine, it's a very, very long road to hoe, kind of like trying to win the Super Bowl. Although I don't think there are 400 teams in the NFL. And if Cleveland's offense doesn't improve, you'll subtract one. But it is, as I say, it is a long road to hoe. But tonight, I have the great privilege, for the first time in our history, of making the announcement of the Smart 21 communities, the first group, the first pass, the semifinalists from that 400 here in Ohio at the Walsh Institute for the Study of the Intelligent Community. So people around the world are waiting for this. We're streaming it live on the internet. People literally gather in gymnasiums, in offices, depending on the time, certainly in city halls, to see who we're going to name. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the award, and then we're going to roll, and we'll bring out the beauty contestants. Okay, you know what ICF does. I've explained that to you tonight. We want to share the best practices of the world's intelligent communities to accelerate development. The awards program is very important in giving visibility to our movement because it tells the stories of successful communities to all the other communities around the world, and that's very important for us. Secondly, because we get so much data in from these communities, we're able to do research and to really understand at a very, very granular level why these cities and communities work well. And again, we share that information at no cost to any community that wants to know. This year we've chosen a special theme. Each year we have 5 basic criteria that we evaluate communities on, and then we add another one. This year we call it Community as Canvas. And basically we're going to look at culture. And I talked a little bit about that today, but what we've asked these communities to do is to send to us ways that they are extracting economic potential from their heritage, from their culture, and in many cases, like in the case of Taiwan and China, from things that have been going on for 5,000 years, but that got layered over in the industrial age. So it's a very, very exciting era. And when we talk about a renaissance, these are the kinds of things that drive it. The way this program works is that we first come up with 21. You'll hear about them tonight. Those 21 will be evaluated further, and in January we'll be in Taichung to name 7 from that group. From there, we invite 7 to New York, and one of them is named in Steiner Film Studios as our Intelligent Community of the Year. And they get on television and they become stars, and we don't even make the mayors wear bathing suits. So it's a good thing. I'm very pleased, by the way, that 4 of last year's top 7 intelligent communities are with us tonight. And I welcome them all here. And you know this woman. The betting will now end. And we will now name the world's 21 most intelligent communities. Number 1, Arlington County, Virginia, United States of America, population 210,000. Staying with the Americas, Columbus, Ohio is back. Columbus, 809,000 people. You can applaud if you're from Columbus. Or if you're an Ohio State fan. Kingston, Ontario, Canada. We're going to go to Canada. Kingston is a community of 159,000 people. Mitchell, South Dakota. Mitchell, South Dakota, 15,000 people. Mitchell has redefined farming, and they do something called intelligent farming. Again, taking farming, linking it to their universities, and moving that whole industry forward. So we congratulate Mitchell. They're back on the list. On the list, I believe for the first time, Montreal in Canada, 3.9 million people. Congratulations to our friends, and bonne chance. Quebec City, staying up in Quebec, second time on our list. Quebec City is a community of about 800,000 people. Parkland County, Alberta, Canada, 30,000 people out west. A lot of Canadians tonight. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, 6.3 million people. So I just want to give you a sense, by the way, I'm naming populations as to the ranges of communities. It's not your size. And take it from a guy who's 5'6". Size isn't important. It's what you got up here. And these are intelligent communities. Toronto, Ontario, Canada, 2.7 million people. And we have a representative from Toronto here tonight, so you're relieved. You can call home. You're tweeting. Okay, I understand. Walla Walla Valley, Washington. Certainly the most interesting name we have this year. Walla Walla Valley has created 6,000 jobs by reviving its wine and food culture. A great story out there. And finally, in the Americas, Winnipeg, Canada, 778,000 people. So 32,000 people in Walla Walla, by the way. So that's the group in the Americas. So you can applaud them. Okay, we're going to move to the Europe, Middle East, and Africa parts of the world. Heraklion, Crete, Greece, they are back on the list. 150,000 people. Despite Greece's disastrous financial performance, this community continues to have low unemployment and is considered the Silicon Valley of Greece. Nairobi County, Kenya, first time on the list, 4 million people. This is an interesting one for us. We never know what our research and our analysts are going to recommend to us, but we're told that Nairobi's initiative is coming from a young group of entrepreneurs who have said to themselves, if the government's not going to work with us, if businesses aren't going to work with us, the larger businesses, we're going to take it upon ourselves to put together a plan to become an intelligent community and to transform our city within 5 years. Our judges believe that that was worthy of international attention, and we wish Nairobi County well. So that's that group, and you can applaud them. Nairobi, of course, is first time on the list, as was Montreal and Walla Walla. Okay, I'm going to move to Asia Pacific. Tai Chung doesn't have to worry about any of this anymore. Isn't that nice? Coffs Harbour, New South Wales, 71,000 people. First time as a Smart 21 intelligent community. Australia, by the way, as you know, has invested in a $43 billion national broadband network under the leadership of Stephen Conroy because the nation felt that it was slipping behind and they needed more intelligent communities. So we're glad to see these communities on the list. First time on the list, back in Taiwan, Hsinchu City, Taiwan. Population 427,000, and of course the people from Taiwan are applauding. Congratulations to them. New Taipei City, Taiwan. They are back on the list for the second time, 3.9 million people. Taiwan has obviously embraced the intelligent community movement. Prospect, South Australia, is on the list. Again, 20,000 people, a very small community there. The Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia. The Australians and the Canadians are really kicking butt tonight, as they say. 322,000, so congratulations down under, where you're just probably waking up. Taoyuan County, Taiwan. Again, Taiwan is back on the list. Remember what I told you about President Ma's initiatives. They are starting to yield fruit. 2 million people. Taoyuan County, it is where the largest logistics center on earth has been developed and continues to grow. Anybody want to pronounce this one for me? Right. Wanganui, New Zealand, 43,000 people. We're back in Australia. Whittlesea, Australia is back on our list again. 176,000 people. Again, very good performance by Australia. And ladies and gentlemen, you have your Smart 21, the 21 most intelligent communities on earth. We congratulate them, and we look forward to the next round of selecting from them 7 communities. So this is a list. Now we have 125 communities. We've gone from 119 all around the world. And you can see that, again, the intelligent community movement, which we're a part of here at Walsh, has spread to every continent. And we are now connected to them. And that is a very, very important and exciting group of communities. And again, we congratulate them all. So thank you for your patience tonight. Thank you for allowing us, Richard, to come here and to do this. And good luck over the next couple of days. God bless you. Good night.
Thank you, Lou Zaccarella, for that little idea you had years ago and how it's made a difference in the entire world. I do want to share with you, because we honored a special community tonight as the Intelligent Community of the Year, that it was a lot about culture, and we had the president and Derek Wyman and I all got to meet Mayor Hu. And he was very proud of the work he's done in the arena of culture, and he wanted to make sure we knew that he invited many celebrities, and they came to Taichung, including, Derek? Lady Gaga. And so, not to be outdone, Derek is going to make sure that tomorrow we get Madame Ching to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So she will have plenty to share when she returns. So we at the Institute do believe that a future must first be imagined, and that we must come together for smart design. After all, this is all on our watch. So please join us in this conversation. Thank you for being here, and we hope we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.